What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls podcast coming up for y'all right around the corner. It is day 2 of NBA free agency. Lots more deals have happened since yesterday afternoon. Just Trey Jones so far, still no Josh Giddey signing. We'll talk about that and the implications of not only free agent signings, but other trades that have happened on what the Bulls could be doing in the coming days and weeks. Plus, we talked to some intel, French national coach, giving us insights on Noa Essengue. That's next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Dave. Bow! BAWL Sports. Will the Gottlieb with the perfectly in sync bow. Perfectly waft.
True.
Will_Gottlieb. And the queen of the controls, the one and only Katie Duffy. What is up, Katie?
Hi.
Day 2, NBA free agency. Hope everybody out there in Bulls Nation's doing well. We were towards the tail end of yesterday's show. We got the news on the Trey Jones signing.
Yeah.
He is back.
Yeah.
3-year deal, $24 million. Congrats to him. Congrats to the Bulls on what I think is honestly a solid value deal for the player that we saw, who is Trey Jones, in that small sample size last season. But he's back to stay. Of course, it opens up a whole other line of questions about the Bulls' guard depth. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. We can talk about it more today. Are the Bulls taking calls on Coby and or Ayo?
Right.
What's going to happen with that? Also, a lot of big men signing new contracts and or getting traded over the last 12 to 15 hours. Does that impact what the Bulls might still be trying to do with Nikola Vucevic this offseason? We'll talk about all that. And plus a bonus for today's show, Big Dave, because he knows everybody overseas in the world of basketball. We found a French National Program youth squad coach who also has coached in both Pro B and Pro A series French Pro Basketball League, who has seen a lot of and knows a lot about Noa Essengue, the Bulls' 12th overall pick. That interview's also coming up ahead later on today's show. Romain Leroy. I've been practicing the pronunciation correctly of his name. French names are hard.
They are. They are fun,
but
hard. Yes.
Guys, we saw some more deals after we closed yesterday's show. Between last night and today, what jumps out to y'all? Not necessarily Bulls, and we could talk about how Bulls relate to any and all new developments, but what jumps out to you?
I mean, the big one was this morning, Myles Turner going to the Bucks. That was a real shocker. Obviously, you had the big max contract for SGA, which was to be expected. But Myles Turner going from the Indiana Pacers to the Milwaukee Bucks in a move that was made possible by the Bucks waiving and stretching Damian Lillard's remaining $113 million. They will have $22.5 million of dead money on their books for the next 5 years.
Meaning
that's like 15-20% of the cap that they just can't use because they're paying Damian Lillard. But it did open up enough space that they could pull off the deal for Myles Turner after Brook Lopez went to the Clippers on a 2-year, $18 million deal. And that's like a perfect fit for Giannis. Like, I was wondering if the Bucks would continue, like, put their pedal to the metal or, like, kind of take a down year, reassess, see if you can dump Dame once you get him back from the injury. But they're like, we'll sleep when we're dead. Like, they're just going to go for it. And I kind of respect that. I don't know if it's going to work out for them, but I at least like the aggression. And Myles Turner is the perfect fit with Giannis. He can space it out. He can protect the rim. They're going to be a very good defensive team in the interior. But still questions about what they do at the guard positions. They later traded Pat Connaughton for Vaso Micic to save a little space, and they're going to be up against the tax, but still could make some additional room or additional moves to bring in more talent. They bring back Portis. They've still got Kuzma, but not a lot of help in the backcourt. I think they still need to address that.
Yeah, for me, it was the Denver-Brooklyn trade.
Yeah.
That definitely was a shock. Getting Cam Johnson, who was a name that had been floating around for probably a year or two, about being traded just because of his value and what he does on the floor. It's so high. But Denver going ahead and making that trade, that is an all-in move and the end of an era with Michael Porter Jr., who was definitely impactful as to why they won their first title in the history of that team. And the reason he was winning that is because he was hitting those wide open shots. Like, he was very key at that, and that has gone away for him as of late.
Part of the reason Denver couldn't get past the second round is that MJ just could not find his shot.
Absolutely
and
right.
was also playing with the biggest bandage on his shoulder that I've seen since Charles Barkley's elbow bandage in the NBA Finals in 1993.
Oh yeah, man, he was struggling.
Yeah.
He was struggling out there, but he was powering through. But now he gets to go to Brooklyn where he gets to be the man. I've never seen him be the man in a situation, and I think that's kind of what he was projected to play like when he first came into the league. Not just be a role player, but be a guy you could kind of build around. Now, obviously, the back was the issue with that. But, man, on the other side, though, Cam Johnson is exactly what Denver needs. Like, he's perfect for what they need. Just a spot-up shooter who is a sniper, like always shooting at least 39 or 40% from the three-point line. I believe he has career high in scoring this season. I think it was 18 a game he was averaging. But, yeah, he's taking like 5 to 7 threes a game. And, I mean, I really, truly expect the assist numbers of Nikola Jokic to go up. I really do. Because what are you going to do? Like, either just let him continue to dominate you, or as soon as you send that double team out there, cash money all day long. Like,
he's going to
have
be fun. Like 20 more 30-20-20 games next season.
I really, truly expect something ridiculous and dumb, and I mean that in the most wonderful way, from him, man. But I think it's a great move getting him and then bringing back Bowen as well on that team. Like, those are two great moves, I thought, by Denver, which for me just really elevated them as far as on paper right now in the Western Conference.
So they get back Bruce Brown as well, big piece of their championship team in 2023.
I said Bowen, excuse me, Bruce Brown, excuse me.
They also, didn't you just say moments ago, Goat? They
just
added
signed
Tim Hardaway Jr.?
And Bruce Brown was on a minimum, which is an incredible value. They just signed Tim Hardaway Jr. on a minimum, which is incredible value.
And earlier today, they got Valanciunas from Sacramento.
Wow.
Sending Dario Saric to the Kongs. But so, I mean, talk about valuable, big man backup behind Jokic.
Yeah.
We'll see if, Valanciunas can sort of fit and find a role with the second unit, because as dominant as Joker has been over the last several seasons in playoff series, they overcame it in 23 because their role players and their depth pieces were great. This past couple of years of postseason runs in 24 and 25, they've fallen short because the depth isn't there when Joker is off the floor. When Joker's getting his rest, those minutes, the Nuggets are bad.
Yeah, it's true. And, yeah, they're shoring up that is what I like. They understand the mistakes and ensuring those up. They feel like they got the right coach in place after letting go of Mike Malone. So, yeah, I really expect a lot from Nikola Jokic, if that's even a thing, because he does everything. But I expect those numbers to just be really astronomical for real.
And, yeah, I mean, I think, like, you think about the cost of the 2032 unprotected first-round pick. Like, that's an expensive asset to pay, but, like, they're saving $18 million this year to get a player who I think is better than Michael Porter Jr. in a very similar role. They also win on the margins on the minimum signings, and then get off of Dario Saric to bring in another very solid backup center. So their depth is better. Their shooting is better, I think. Their reliability is better. They've got another ball handler in there in Bruce Brown. I think they could probably stand to use one more guard if they lose Russ.
Yeah.
But like this team is now much deeper and much more well-positioned to win. And I agree. I think they're going to be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. And they're like right back in there for championship contention for me right now. I
100%.
think they're right there, and I'm curious to see what else they'll do. I believe they are right at the tax line, and it probably doesn't make sense to go in for them because next year you've got to pay Christian Brown. Guys start to get more expensive. So you don't want to start the repeater tax clock just yet. But, I mean, if there's a big move to be made still, they could try to figure something out. They've got still some bad money on their books in Zeke Naji. They could try to flip him into something. But just very impressed with what they have done so far in the first 24 hours of free agency.
Yeah, you mentioned Saric. Like, I thought that was a great move for them, man. Like, DeAndre Jordan, has been the shell of DeAndre Jordan for a couple of seasons, but he's still doing his thing for sure. But it's time, you need something a little bit better that you can depend on.
Yeah.
Where you don't just bring them out because you're like, all right, fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so having Saric there is a perfect backup for Nikola Jokic, man. Like, just they've done everything right so far.
You mean Valanciunas?
Valanciunas.
Yeah.
What is with me with names
all
today?
All of these bigs that have been moving around over the last 24 hours, whether it be in free agency signings or trades. Obviously, the big news of earlier today, the Myles Turner thing. Switching between 2 Central Division teams, by the way. Yeah. Myles Turner still in the Central. Have fun with that, Bulls. Clint Capella goes back to the Houston Rockets after a short stint away in Atlanta. The Celtics signing Luka Garza to a multi-year deal after they lost Luke Cornett yesterday, getting paid by the Spurs. Good for him. Everyone's still anticipating Al Horford's departure. Will it be the Warriors? Will it be somewhere else? Everyone's pretty sure it's not going to be Boston, as they are shedding veteran, expensive contracts and players.
Yes.
The Warriors also lost Kevon Looney, thus their search for a new big. We mentioned just now Valanciunas going to Denver. The Knicks signing Gershon Yabusele on a pretty team-friendly 2-year, $12 million deal. There's another big man off the board. Kristaps going to Atlanta. A lot of movement of bigs, which as Bulls fans kind of makes you wonder, what's up with Vooch? What's up with that? You hearkened back to the old laying the groundwork line we got when the Bulls thought about but did not trading Nikola Vucevic at the trade deadline back in February. Where do you think the team stands with Vuce now as we see all these other NBA bigs changing teams?
This is like when Joey came back from the craps table and he was just like...
just shook his head and looked at the floor.
Yeah. I mean, look, like Vuce is a solid player, but he is just at a point in his career where he's like not at his most valuable. He was productive last year, but he is the 11th highest paid center in the league right now. And even though he's an expiring contract, like teams don't want to take on that much money for a center like him, and especially if he's going to be a backup. Like you see some of these guys get moved. Yusuf Nurkic has been bounced around a lot over the last 6 months, but they're attaching picks to get off of him. Valanciunas, same deal. He's making half the amount of money. So I just don't see a market there for Vooch. I think there's possibly a couple of teams that could be interested depending on how some of these dominoes falls. When Steven Adams and Clint Capella both go to the Rockets, now there's like maybe a little bit more room in the game of musical chairs. But I just don't see a lot of suitors out there for him based on how much money he's making, the role that he's going to want there, and what teams can offer. And I think that's really the key piece is the Bulls, I cannot stress this enough, do not care about draft picks. So if you are going to make a trade with the Bulls, you're going to have to give something up that is valuable. And like that doesn't make sense for a lot of teams that would want to be adding Vooch as a final a finishing touch to their roster, right? The amount of deals out there is just probably pretty thin to begin with. And then you factor in the point that like the Bulls just are going to want another good player in return. It's just hard to make something happen. So obviously the Pacers are going to have to figure something out. I think the Celtics obviously brought in Luka Garza, but they're losing Porzingis, they're losing Cornett, and they're losing Al Horford. But Horford's still on the market. He could go to the Warriors, and I think that would erase their need for a center like Vooch. But again, it's just the money is hard to navigate. And that's why a 3-year deal, when there was no reason to give him a 3-year deal, turned out to not be a great value play for the Bulls. Is Vooch producing at that level last year? I think he probably was. But it's not just about that. You have to consider the marketplace, and I think that people should keep that in mind when you think about Josh Giddey as well.
I don't like hearing that. I'd like Nikola Vucevic to be going for him. You know what I mean? More than anything, I'd like him to go and continue his career so he can make some deep playoff runs. But I guess a team like the Pacers now kind of have a vacancy, you know what I'm saying, right there. So maybe there's something there they could, work out where he doesn't have to go real far. I'm sure you're going to crap on my dreams.
No, I think that could be an option.
They can't afford it.
I just don't know what the money is. But yeah,
okay. It's a 1-year flyer on them, more than anything. For a team that just went to the finals that is going to need more talent with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton being injured right now, you're going to need somebody else to help carry that team with Pascal Siakam.
Assuming they want to win. And I think that's the question is they just traded the day before Game 7. They traded for their own 2026 first-round pick back from the Pelicans. So Halliburton's down for the year. You lost Myles Turner. Are they just going to say, yeah, we have Nembhard and Nesmith and Siakam, but we're going to kind of take a down year and just try to get another good draft pick, and maybe this is our opportunity to sell Mathurin and Jarris Walker, who have not really worked out for us, and reload for Halliburton when he comes back? If that's the case, then they shouldn't have any interest in Vooch. But if they're doing the thing that the Pacers have done for the entirety of their existence, which is refuse to tank, then maybe they do want to take a flyer on Vooch. Or maybe they want Jalen Smith back. Like, I do think that they're going to be interested in finding some option at center, because you can't just go into the season playing Tony Bradley and Thomas Bryant a combined 48 minutes a game. That's just, you can't do that.
So, knowing the ball-headed minutes being there, sir, they're not tanking.
Or could you? We got to take our first break right there. Hit the like button while we share some ads. We'll come back on the other side. Keep breaking down NBA free agency and trade talk.
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. A place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality hydroponics in the city. It's your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They're your favorite dispensary in Illinois, whether you're in the city, shout out Wrigleyville, River North, or all the way out in the suburbs, shout out Champaign and South Beloit. You know you're going to get it right with Sunnyside. And if you're a professional, you know they got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added daily. Visit Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Promo code HICHGO. Use it at checkout. And for existing users, use this promo code CHGO50 and get 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and over or Illinois Med card holders.
New sponsor alert. Today's show brought to you by Arena Club. Are you looking to buy, sell, trade, and rip open packs of cards? God, is there a better feeling in the world?
No.
Brings me back to my childhood. You got to check out these slab packs from Arena Club. You can rip a pack for as low as $25 and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Every pack has grails that are at least 20 times the price of the pack itself. Arena Club is the most trusted name in the game right now. From your digital showroom, you can trade, sell, auction, and retrieve your physical card from the Arena Club. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted name in the game. And they're coming here to Chicago soon. From July 30th to August 3rd, 2025, the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, Rosemont, Illinois, is the 45th National Sports Collection Convention. Arena Club will be there. Go check them out. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO, promo code CHGO. We are back rolling along CHGO Bulls live on Tuesday, day 2 of NBA free agency. Peck, Big Dave, Goat, Katie on the controls. Hanging out with y'all, fellow Bulls fans. Hit that like button if you're hanging out in the YouTube chat. Also, shout out to everybody who was hanging out with us yesterday while we got 85K subs while we were live on day 1 of NBA free agency.
Whoop, whoop.
That's a super awesome, gigantic number.
That's pretty good.
As we circle back to what we're talking about, how these signings have impacted what the Bulls have on deck for possible ensuing moves. Adam Roth in the comments asking, didn't Billy Donovan coach Al Horford? He sure did. For back-to-back national champs, them Florida Gators.
He did.
Shout out to my BFF Joe King. Al Horford, of course, also a legendary member of that team, and still playing.
Still.
Joe has been tired for a while now.
Yeah.
Corey Brewer been retired for a while now. Al Horford's like, I still got something left in the tank.
Clean living,
but baby. If your question, Adam, was like, could that be something that entices Horford to sign with the Bulls? At this stage in Horford's career, I think he's looking for another one of them things he got in Florida, a.k.a. a chip.
A ring.
Bulls, no chips anytime soon.
Bag of chips.
Bag?
Yeah, we get that.
I saw somebody else in the comments say, I'll take a bag of chips for Vooch.
Oh.
Vooch is worth more than a bag of chips.
Come on, man. Seriously.
At least like a big box of the, like party-sized chips.
Costco brand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doritos.
As we were just kind of on the front end of that break, talking about all the other big man movement over the last 24 hours, is it looking more and more likely that we are about to ready ourselves as Bulls fans for another year of Bulls starting center Nikola Vucevic?
I don't know if people are readying themselves for it, but they should be. That's what is going to happen.
Come on.
There's just not options out there. And as we saw with Lonzo, if there was a trade that made sense, the Bulls were going to be willing to do it. There aren't a lot of options. I would guess that the Lakers are in the market for a center right now. Obviously, the Warriors are looking for a center right now. Horford, Ayton are probably going to be ahead of Vooch, but let's say that the market breaks a certain way or there's an injury, there's always the possibility of a trade. But this is why they should have made a deal last year when there was a chance that they could, right? Like, if you could have gotten back a second-round pick, again, I don't think the Bulls value those, but that opens up playing time, it opens up space, it opens up opportunity for you to be able to make other moves. And that's like, sometimes the window closes and then it's just closed. Like, they're just... And now they've lost all this opportunity. And, I think it's just... It's the idea that they were, like, laying the groundwork for moves to be made.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to take on long-term money. They're not going to get expiring salary after those guys expire. That was never going to be how it is, and I think they overplayed their hand. I thought that they could probably get a first from the Warriors, but the Warriors obviously won that battle of negotiations and ended up with Jimmy anyway, so it's not like the end of the world, but like, you're at a point where you either keep the guy and let him walk for nothing, or you got to take whatever you can get, and it just doesn't seem like a team that is committed to trying to win is going to give up a player like Vooch for nothing. Yeah,
and even if you're trying to trade him mid-season, it's a gamble. Because of the incredible season that he put up, we know that he had, something behind that. It is, hey, teams, check me out. Look at what I can do for a team right here. Oh, I'm still here. I'm hurt. This sucks. So I get it. I understand that. It's a gamble to bring him back. Sure, it's a possibility that they can trade him during the season or do something like that. But if that three-point shooting goes from 40% back down to what we've been seeing, then that value for Vooch is going to go down there as well. And then from what the Bulls have shown, if that's going to be the case, then they will hold on to him, for that whole season and just say, fine, finish it out. And then, thank you for your service and everything you did here in Chicago. Yes, I want him to be traded. I'm still holding out hope for it because there are still teams that are available that are looking still for a center that can do the things that Vooch can do. I don't know what they have to give the Chicago Bulls because, as Goat said, they don't seem to value these draft picks. So what players that they might have, or maybe a 3-team trade, anything, I'm still thinking on that kind of level before I go into the full acceptance. Denial is the first part of grief, man. So first stage of grief. So that's where I'm at right now. As long as there's still teams out there that may be vying for his services, I think it's still a possibility, but it's not looking good.
People in the comments saying, I think Tony Moy said trade Vooch for cash considerations. Benji the Pelican, we can't trade Vooch for a second-round pick? What do you mean not a lot of options? So
they don't value the picks.
A couple of seconds was the rumor / quasi reporting of what the Bulls were being offered, maybe by Golden State at the deadline, and AK said not good enough.
Yeah.
So if AK says 2 second-rounders is not good enough for Vooch, then that's not going to change. Also, as Goat said, AK does not value draft picks. That has not changed. As for trading Vooch for cash considerations, Tony, you might be onto something. Which, by the way, shout out to our pal Hayes from Chicago Bulls Central and Locked On Bulls, who tweeted at me earlier today, bringing this report to my attention. Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report originally had it, and then Clutch Points picked it up. Available cash in 24-25 trades with one last transaction to close out the year. The Lakers sent $2.5 million to the Chicago Bulls for the rights to the 45th pick. So there's your number on cash considerations for that trade down in the second round, y'all.
Now you know what to have on your jersey. Right there, 2.5.
Considerations, 2.5.
2.5, right there, baby. Yes, put it in.
So, like, hockey, dude, if the Bulls put those in the Madhouse store, they would sell out.
They would sell out immediately.
Like, seriously, Bulls, just steer into the skid, man.
Yeah, man, just go there.
Steer into it. Make fun of yourselves just a little bit.
Just laugh.
That's one of the things that bugs me about the Bulls. They can never be self-deprecating in any way.
It's true.
They always want to stand proudly on business, and the 6 banners in the lofts. It's like, dude, what? Mostly people make fun of you these days.
Yeah.
Make fun of yourself just a little bit and see what it does for you.
And make some money while doing it.
Exactly.
Huh?
Two birds, one stone.
Checks. Yeah, it's a cool thing.
It's honestly a pretty good idea.
Right? They would sell like hotcakes.
I mean, man.
All right, as we shift gears now, the next big name we got to talk about, of course, is Josh Giddey. And to do that, we got to take the temp. Taking the temp, brought to you by our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Cooling, Air Conditioning, for all the right reasons, Dave.
Uh-huh.
You know you got to call them.
866 Four Seasons.
Visit FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com. So, gentlemen, we did not get a Giddey deal yesterday. Have not, double-check my Twitter alerts, have not gotten a Giddey deal yet today.
Yes.
They did sign Trey Jones. As Goat explained to us yesterday, we know where their roster numbers are. It seems like the last and next thing to happen will be the Bulls and Giddey coming to some sort of terms on some kind of deal. Anywhere from qualifying offer to 5 years, 150, right?
Yeah.
We still have to wait. I think if we're taking the temp of where the Bulls are in their negotiations with Giddey right now, the longer we wait on a deal being announced, the better it is for Bulls fans who are hoping for that number of total guaranteed dollars to be smaller.
Yeah, go talk me into that. That's true.
I do caution against that a little bit just because, like,
what? You just talked me into it.
With Levine, they waited a couple of days before giving him the max.
Yeah.
So it could be that situation. But, like, at
Hold
the end
out
of the day,
and then just say, okay, never mind. You can have as much as you want.
yeah, I mean, but they were in a similar spot where, like, there weren't any teams with cap space. They could have squeezed him a little bit, decided against it, gave him everything, player option, trade kicker, all the bells and whistles. Maybe it's that they are negotiating, the minor details, whether it's, like I said, the exceptions, the annual raises, whether it's descending, flat, ascending, whether there's a trade kicker, all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, the Bulls, there's no reason to overpay him right now. There is not one team in the league that can give him more than $17 million, is I believe what the Nets are at right now in terms of cap space. His qualifying offer is $11.1 million. So basically, if I were the Bulls, I would say, like, we're going to give you 5 years, $100 million. And if you don't want $100 million, then you can take the qualifying offer and we can play this out next year. And this isn't like, trying to give him to, like, lowball him and disgruntle him and, like, make him want to leave.
Sure.
I understand he wants $30 million, but we're seeing the same thing with restricted free agents all over the league. Jonathan Kuminga's not getting the $30 million a year contract that he wanted. And the only reason he would get anything close to that right now is if the Warriors basically did him a favor by giving him that and then used him as a trade chip down the line because they wouldn't need matching salary. And so, like, this is just, like, the reality of the situation in sports. Like, it's sometimes not fair. It's a zero-sum game. There is a salary cap. You need to operate within that. And the Bulls are in a really good spot to get him on a deal that I think is fair value. Like, 5,100 is a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I think that sets both of those parties up in a way that they can be happy about moving forward. If he wants to do 4 years for 80, that's fine too. I just don't think you even need to go up to 25 at this point. Like, 25 is... Would it be like a disaster of a deal? I don't think so. Like, I wouldn't sit here and say, like, I'd be mad about that, but it's just unnecessary. Like, you have the power and the leverage to get him for less.
Yeah.
And I think really what it comes down to is Giddey going to say, okay, yeah, I'll take the qualifying offer, and are the Bulls going to be okay with that? Where he becomes an unrestricted free agent next year. If that's a risk they're willing to take, then that would be interesting. That would give us something to talk about for the next 360 days.
What if we shut you in the face? That's a risk we were willing to take.
I just have a hard time. Like, I know I'm not an NBA player. I know I will never make anything close to what these guys are making. But, like, if someone has a $100 million contract that they're going to push across the table to you, are you really going to say no, even if you really wanted 150?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time somebody has
certainly not
turned that down.
But, like, he can turn that down and then go get the 150 elsewhere.
Yeah,
Would you like $100 million or the qualifying offer, which is way less than $100 million?
Yeah. Or like I said, he could bet on himself and say, "Give me the qualifier, and I'll bet on myself, and I'll ball out and see what these other teams, want from me after that." He's got options. That's all. He has options on that end. That's the only option he has. But the Bulls operating from a position of power is awesome because it's not normal for the Bulls to be in this position where they can operate and control what is happening to them instead of just letting it happen to them. So that's why we just want it done right. I remember saying I'd start at 25 and then we could end up somewhere. And Algoda's like, dude, we ain't even got to start there. So cool. Like, I would be fine. If they get to 25 and they give it, fine. They get them lower than that, great. But now it's looking like anything over than that is like don't do this.
Yeah, I would say, like, again, I think $20 million is a team-friendly deal that also Giddey should be happy with.
Yeah.
I would probably go up to 25, although at this point, given the market, there's no reason to do that other than doing him a favor. But anything beyond 25 is just like, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
All right, let's knock out a couple more ads. When we come back on the other side, we're going to pivot just for a segment to talk Noa Essengue with a French national coach and a French pro coach who's got some insights on the Bulls' 12th pick. That's next. Hit the like button. Okay.
There are certain rules in life, ladies and gentlemen, and there's number one rule. You don't touch the quaff. Just simply don't do it. Don't do it. And the even bigger rule, don't get biffed. Stay at home. Stay away from the 16-year-olds at the big box stores. Don't go ahead. Stay away from that. Empire Today, shop at home convenience, y'all. Flooring experts is what they are. Dedicated flooring professionals whose focus is on flooring every single day. With Empire, you're going to get that clear upfront pricing, that all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-the-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, that's y'all. You can receive a $350 discount with that promo code CHGO. That's $350 discount with the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details. 588-2300. Peck.
Empire.
Today.
Today's show also brought to you by Circus Sportsbook.
That was nice.
Whatever the moment, the app to bet is Circus Sports Illinois. Circus Sports is sports betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. We all know that is more important than ever these days. With all the useless, no good robots out there, all the AI nonsense. No, give me a human to talk to. Circus got humans, y'all. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, even in-game betting. Circus Sports has it for you. So fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 21 and older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We roll along CHGO Sports, CHGO Bulls live on day 2 of NBA free agency. But right now, up next, quick pivot away from free agency to talk the Bulls' 12th overall pick, Noa Essengue. We were joined by one of many in the Big Dave Rolodex of international NBA and basketball people, Romain Leroy, who has on his resume both French National U squad coaching as well as French Pro League coaching. Also, draft consultant for BN Sports France.
And a former player as well.
And a former player as well.
And a
Katie,
champion.
Cue up that interview with Coach.
Excuse his light.
All right now we are excited to talk some Noa Essengue, the Bulls' 12th overall pick. Joining us, longtime both professional and national team scout for France. Also does NBA draft consulting work with BN Sports France. A man of many talents in the world of basketball scouting. Joining us now, please welcome Romain Leroy. And I'm going to say I did my best on that pronunciation. How you doing, Coach?
I would go for like A+. That's pretty good.
There you go. There you go.
Take it.
For a guy who got a 5.0, that's exactly what he wants to hear.
That's
Is
right.
that right there, sir? Yes.
Coach, we appreciate the time. So Bulls fans, I think we're excited about the high upside of Noa Essengue on draft night, but are also a little wary of another raw, quote unquote, project of a draft pick because the Bulls already have plenty of those. What can you tell us about what you've seen from Noah, watching him through the youth program in France over the years?
Well, first of all, all more or less like all the things you guys know about him is that feedbacks are always good. My English kind of rusty and the light goes off. Like this is unbelievable. My English kind of rusty is speaking in weeks. So thing is, hold on. Sorry, just need to find.
Fixing them lights.
Yes.
That's what happens to go.
Yeah. No, lights go off. It's like 10:30 here. So I was saying like most of the things that are being said about Noah is that the upside is amazing, basically, but still a bit of questions. But basically, he spent 2 years. I don't know if you're familiar with it, in a French basketball academy that's based in Paris, France. And that basically where players get to play against grown men. Basically, it's like third professional league here. The level is like pretty good, pretty okay. Then he moved to Ulm in Germany, where basically spent 2 years. And Ulm, those past seasons, as more and more, turn into some kind of like direct path to the league, because Killian Hayes went there. Pacom Dadier, who's actually on the roster of the Knicks, went there, and basically Essengue was there as well. And a couple of young French players are planning to go there in the upcoming year and season. So to me, exporting himself when he was like 17 or 18, I don't really remember the age he was at the time, shows, that's interesting regarding the maturity of the player and the fact that he has proved that he could export himself, adjust to environment, because basically coming from Paris to basically Southeast Germany, different culture, different approach and everything. So like there's a lot of good points to count here and to take there, like to think about, to process about him. So for me, the transition from Germany to the NBA is another step, of course, but him playing abroad is already a good sign. Then he has basically changed roles and status with Ulm, of course, because he was a young player, coming from the bench, getting little minutes, and turning into some kind of like important piece of the system there. So to me, that's great. Light again. To me, basically, he's a good, let's say, mid to long term pick to develop, and with very interesting tools.
Definitely been described as a raw prospect coming over here to Chicago. So knowing that, what side of the ball are you most excited to see develop here in the NBA for him? Is it his defensive side, which we already know he's got definite potential on that side, or is it him on the offensive side where he could still, develop a shot, but he's got it as far as like transition is concerned?
What I like is, of course, the length that he has, and long term, he can become some kind of like extremely versatile defender. Right now, he's able to switch, of course, and play defense on different guard positions. But the two keys to his upside, to me, are the meat he can add on the frame, because he's lightweight, actually, like skinny profile, and then outside shot. Those are the two keys for any players in the world, anyways. But those are the two little things that basically will make the difference between decent to good to very good player.
Yeah, so we've been talking about him as sort of this project player, but as you mentioned, I mean, he's been playing in the German professional league for 2 years. He's not even 19 years old yet. One of the things that stands out is that he was able to be so productive despite being really skinny, despite being really raw. Do you feel like that's, when you're talking about just scouting guys, do you feel like it's rare to see someone who is that young be that productive in that league?
That's something that that's a very good point, because Germany is a tough league. To get a foul there, you need to hustle. So it's physical. It's not the most vertical. Like France, for example, is more athletic, more vertical, but on the let's say dirty part of the court, like toughness and everything, Germany is something else. Like Germany is very the kind of league that you really need to hustle to get goals, especially for young players. So being productive there with decent numbers, because he was something like 12 points a game, being productive there with a team that basically made it to the finals, which is something important, because being productive with the bottom team is one thing, but being productive and learning how to win with professionals, with grown men, with adults, is something else, and being successful is something else. So all these combined, I mean, to me, that's a good sign, because you get a player that is a rookie, of course, discovering the league, discovering the business, everything, but he has 2 years of experience in the bag, which is, priceless for a young player.
Younger with experience.
Yes.
Bulls fans were excited to see a modernization of the team's offense finally this past season when it came to a volume of three-point shooting and their pace of play. How do you see Essenge's shot evolving and hopefully improving? He had modest three-point shooting numbers for his pro team in Germany this past year. But Bulls fans also saw Modest Buzelis shoot poorly for the NBA G League before getting drafted, and he turned into a somewhat confident and competent three-point shooter his rookie year. How do you gauge how Noah can improve and evolve as far as a floor spacer?
Well, more or less right now is somewhere around, let me check. 28, 25, 20, 30, like something percent from three. His shooting form can still be developed, goes with the body as well, but he's a below average free throw shooter, but not a bad free throw shooter. Like, he's not horrible free throw shooter, let's say. So this is always something that I try to consider with kids. Being a good shooter requires work, repetition, moving the form. Sometimes it's not only mechanics, it's sometimes like psychological aspect, it's like physical aspect, a lot of tools to combine. So it will take probably a bit of time, but he has never been, trying to force situation. And on the other end, he never had that's the problem with the kids we have here sometimes. When you are physically dominant in the game, early stage, you don't necessarily have to develop the shot when you're young, which is the reason why sometimes, like, French kids, they kind of struggle a little bit to basically add this to the skill set that they can have. Like, the shot always takes a bit of time, but he doesn't waste situations. Like, he knows how to go to the hoop, doesn't gamble on mid-range or like poor mid-range decision situations. So I'm used to say, and you guys know better than me, that it takes 3 years to evaluate a kid properly. This is why basically the rookies are there for like 3 years before being like fully evaluated, and with all that comes that after. So there's still some margin there. Like I was saying, the upside, basically the ceiling is there regarding the shot and regarding the body, like the way we'll develop physically.
What do you kind of see as his upside? I mean, it's so hard to say, like, with any of these guys, because they're so, like, far away from being what they can be. But just as far as the skill set that you've seen him display, playing professionally, playing with the French national team, like, is he a guy that could create his own shot down the stretch? Is he a guy that could be, like, running pick and roll? Kind of, where do you see his game evolving in that sense? Obviously, the 3-and-D athleticism stuff right now, but just long term, if you had to project it out.
Long term, I would consider him. I mean, right now that's the picture, and I think that's what it's going to be for the future. Like, he's a good finisher because his athletic skills are kind of above average. So he's a great finisher, great open court player. He can space the floor by running, early in transition and everything. So this kind of basic skill set that he has right now, plus the defense, can really fit into what modern basketball is. Teams now, more or less, everybody's used to run a lot, playing early stage, playing transition situation, being aggressive. He has this kind of package. Plus, if he's capable of playing defense and translate his defense to the NBA level, that is how you get minutes, like playing defense. Like, the only value you can bring to the team as a kid, first off, is not to cost anything to the team. So if you're capable of bringing minutes by playing solid defense, that's already one good step. This is to me, that's the foundation of what he can bring. Like, is he capable of playing defense? If yes, he can build on that.
I was just looking at, this Bulls roster now. Now he's with Josh Giddey. Now he's running with Modest Buzelis. And obviously he's going to have some time to grow, to do his thing. But how do you see him fitting in on this roster? Is this a good fit for the Chicago Bulls with Noa Essengue?
The most recent example of a young team turning into a solid team is OKC, basically. They've been drafting people, they've been stacking up people, trying to develop. Of course, they gambled on a couple of players, but the result is there. And if you look at what Brooklyn did, for example, during the last draft, it's kind of a trend. It's kind of I wouldn't say a trend, but a pattern. That's what I like with the league. It's basically when something works somewhere, you always try to duplicate what worked, and you try to basically make it your own kind of like culture, like put your own things into it and try to develop something. So, long time ago, I was a big fan of Karnišovas when he was a player here. Like, he's a legend over Europe, and what he has been doing to me since he has been hired there. it's very interesting. So I mean, the Bulls. I'm sorry, guys, but I grew up being a Pistons fan in the '80s. So
Oh,
Okay.
Thought we were cool.
Yeah,
You got a couple
Thought
of
we were
chips.
cool.
so, but I mean, look, like to me, Chicago belongs to the like powerhouses of the league. So the rebuilding process, it's very interesting to follow.
Before we let you go, Coach, you were just talking about Noah's defense a minute ago. I'm curious, a lot of NBA young guys earn their minutes out of the gate on the defensive end while their offense kind of develops into an NBA-level lethality of their scoring package. And I'm curious how you see Noah's switchability and versatility for the defensive side at the NBA level. Like, we know he's probably going to need to add a bit of muscle to his very currently wiry frame when you're talking about defending front court guys. But do you see him eventually as somebody who can switch like 1 through 5, defend inside and defend the perimeter?
1 to 5 right now, I don't think so, just because of the body situation. But right now, I don't see him being capable of, being impactful physically. But what he can bring for sure is the intensity, footwork, intensity, these kind of things. He has great length. He has this kind of like wiry body that's very interesting to switch, like from guard to wing, like let's say 1 to 3, no problem. 4 and 5 will depend on the way he develops physically.
Coach, real quick before you go, I want to ask this. Can you please give us some AK legendary stories from over there in Europe? Because we could use some AK positivity here on our show, man. Please.
What do you mean?
Just about him and his. You said he's a legend over there, Connor Shovis, and his legendary status.
Oh, Karen Shovis, like
Yes,
in
sir.
Europe, he's a freaking legend. Like honestly, because he played with the Lithuanian national team. He played at like very high level here. Like I saw him. It was like, let's say, the last years of his career in some kind of like friendly game in my hometown. But like back in the days, it was huge here, like huge. One of the best players we had in Europe playing at the time. This guy is he has a name out there. Street cred, like from Lithuania. Well, back in the days, it's like historical part. Like when Lithuania kind of like got his independence back from the USSR, they had so many talented players like Sabonis, like Marčiulionis, Karin Šovas. All those dudes are like legends here.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by and sharing some insights on Noa Essengue. Maybe we'll talk to you again sometime while we're breaking down what we saw from Noah in NBA Summer League coming up next month. We appreciate it. Coach Romain Leroy, and I will keep practicing on the pronunciation of that name until we talk again.
Yeah, and next time I promise I will have some kind of like decent light show around me, not stuff like cuts off every two minutes.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Coach. Take it easy. All right, that was our chat from just earlier this afternoon with Coach Romain Leroy. Intel on Essengue. Clearly dealing with some of that treatment that Goat gets to the UC on post-game nights. Media room lights get shut down.
Yeah.
Glad I'm not the only one.
No, that just means you know your hoops. If you have the auto lights turned off on you. We're going to knock out a couple more final ads. When we come back on the other side, we'll shift gears back to NBA free agency and the latest on Giddey, Vooch, whatever else you want to talk about in the comments. Let us know. Hit the like.
Leroy. You can come to me and say, hey, I want to drink, I want to have some barbecue, and I want to hear some good music. Where y'all do all that at? Guess what? I got a place for you. That Windy City Smokeout is back, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? July 10th through July 13th is when it's going down. We're taking 4 full days of country music, ice cold drinks, and all those award-winning barbecues in your stomach that you can handle. Does it get more summer than that? I don't think so. Seriously, nothing beats an outdoor concert in July. If you haven't grabbed your tickets yet, Thursday and Friday are still available. Take advantage. Country's biggest stars like Bailey Zimmerman, Old Dominion, Dylan Gossett. Whoo! I had to pause on that one for a second. Are going to be lighting up the stage. Don't miss out on the best weekend of the summer. Grab your Thursday and Friday tickets right now at WindyCitySmokeout.com.
Today's show also brought to you by Cash App. Making moves should be easy, especially when it comes to money, and that's why there's Cash App. It's fast and honestly way more personalized than other apps out there. There's no extra hoops to jump through, no extra stress. All the tools are right there to help you cash in. Plus, sending money with Cash App actually feels safe. They look out for you. Something seems sketchy, or they see you might be sending money to a potential scammer, they'll warn you and make you think twice before you hit that send button. It's like having a personal bodyguard for your cash, and who wouldn't want that? And right now, for a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download the Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code, CHGO Bulls, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
Say it.
We roll on CHGO Bulls live Tuesday afternoon, day 2 of NBA free agency. Shout out again to Coach for lending some of his insights on Essengue. We'll probably talk to lots of people who have seen a lot of Essengue over the offseason.
Yeah,
as we gear up for and then react to Summer League next month. Wait, nope, it's July 1st today.
July 1st, baby.
This month.
This month.
See y'all out in Vegas.
Yeah.
But so going back to the Bulls and where they stand, there was a little bit of sleuthing done by Bulls on Tap. Katie, do you have that tweet they put up earlier today when Bulls fans are wondering when the Giddey deal's getting done? Shout out to our friends at Bulls on Tap. They found these on Josh Giddey's Snapchat yesterday.
What is that?
Appears to be him holding a bag, getting ready, and then this picture on the right is him in what looks to be a first class or maybe private jet flight.
Yes.
Getting ready to fly from home in Australia to somewhere.
Exactly what
Could that somewhere be here to Chicago to get his deal done?
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Giddey is one of the people who takes his shoes off on planes.
If that's a private flight.
Yeah, if that's then look where he's at.
Is it private or is it
it's
just
certainly
first
at least
class?
a private cubicle.
Seriously.
If it's a commercial flight, that is a first class private cubicle.
Yeah.
I don't want to smell your feet.
You probably can't
but
in that area where he's at. He's got his, looks like he's got his own everything right
He's got
there.
his own, he's got his
I'm
own
shocked
little
he still has
cubby.
pants
What if he's
on.
just wearing
Like,
slides?
seriously. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, I'll take your shirt off.
I
all
mean,
that.
generally speaking, Katie, I agree with you. On a commercial flight in coach or even in like regular first class,
Oh, yeah.
leave your shoes on.
Banned.
Yeah.
I've sat next to a person like that.
And that's like, even out of respect, as much as I hate shoes, I don't fly in Birks. I
There
put
you go.
on
I
sneakers
appreciate
when I'm
that
flying,
about you.
and I leave them on.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
But, and vote in the poll, because clearly Katie was inspired by these pictures of Giddey on Snapchat. Who still uses Snapchat? That was a question I had for the youth in Slack earlier today. But, I mean, by all logic, where Josh Giddey is flying to has got to be here to sign a new contract, yeah?
It's a long flight. You know what I mean? When you're sitting in that.
Long flight.
I'm going to the States. So if I'm going to the States, I'm going to get a couple of $100 million. How about that? Sound like a plan, Josh Giddey. I hope that's what's happening, man, because we would like this deal to be
probably
done.
Let his people handle the early and even middle stages of the negotiation,
Right.
and he just tells his representation, yes, no, maybe, up it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he shows up when everything's all drawn up and ready to sign.
Right.
He comes in, he signs. That's his participation in the contract negotiation.
Exactly. Now, the question is, how long does he stay after he signs? Does he hop right back on, take a long flight, or does he stay a couple weeks?
Maybe he'll stay stateside for a while and go and with some of his fellow teammates support the summer league team
That's true.
for a day or two. Because
that's
also,
true.
like, who doesn't want to go hang out in Vegas for a couple days?
Yeah, it's true.
Am I crazy? I feel like he doesn't need to be here to sign the contract. Like he could either, the
You
news could
use,
break that they
DocuSign?
agreed. They could DocuSign.
No.
They could fax it. Like
The visual,
I
though,
think
man.
the Bulls want him in the building.
Yes, the visual. They got to get that on video.
Although, you know what? Okay, I think it depends.
maybe.
Is he signing the qualifying offer? DocuSign.
Oh, yeah, DocuSign
F
that.
off, Bulls.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
see you
yeah.
at training camp.
Yeah, exactly right.
If it's a big multi-year deal,
Yes.
they want him in the building for the social media posts
Correct.
of him sitting down, AK doing the happy AK this pose.
He's a legend, son.
You know, he's a, yeah.
How dare
One
you.
continent's legend is another fan base's nuisance.
I mean, maybe he's staying here. You know, maybe he's going to go watch Modest and Noah in Summer League for a bit. Like, maybe it's a longer trip than
Yeah,
just
Mark
signing.
Eversley was saying that like they've had 10, 11 guys in the gym every day. They've been doing workouts, so maybe he's going to like come work out with the team. I imagine he'll go to Vegas. Usually the like core players of the team come for a game or two to support the rookies or whoever else is on. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the holdup is with this deal. I think at a certain point it's just like Giddey's going to have to come to terms with what his market is and determine, is it worth it to sign the deal that the Bulls are offering or the qualifying offer. But yeah, I just don't know if like him being on a plane indicates that a deal is going to be done in the next however many hours it takes.
Got to read the tea leaves, Goat.
I know why he's
Maybe,
coming back.
but
He's coming back to go to the Windy City Smokeout. That's why he's coming back. July 10th through the 13th. WindyCitySmokeout.com. Get your tickets. Thursday and Friday still available, y'all.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying the average attendee of such a Chicago festival might be interesting to Josh Giddey.
Yeah. Katie was there. She said she had a great time.
I mean, I was there for work last year, but yeah, I mean, I could see him going.
Yes.
It could be a Giddey event.
I went a couple years ago because one of my buddies has a sibling that works high up for Casamigos Tequila, and they were one of the big
flex.
brand name partners that year. So we got like a whole like VIP experience.
That's
fine.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
That's a
the
flex.
music genre is not really my scene.
How was the food?
Food was great.
There it is.
I mean, tequila and tacos.
Yeah.
You can never go wrong with tequila and
Can't go wrong.
tacos.
Man, going VIP to a place that's a smokeout for
I
barbecue
would not
is
have
your
gone
jam.
if we didn't have our own space.
Yeah, I know, but that's your jam. That
Also,
you right there.
You went to a barbecue festival essentially and got tacos.
Well, I was in the Casamigos tent. So the Casamigos tent had tacos.
So that's what I
seems
ate.
like a missed opportunity for you.
I wasn't going to fight the crowds of horrible people to get some barbecue.
Of wonderful people,
Of
you mean, that
wonderful
we saw
people.
there that you can go to WindyCitySmokeout.com and purchase some tickets.
Have a great time.
Yes.
All right, so we're almost out of time, but I did want to just highlight this also. Bobby Marks had one of his great, off-season team situation graphics. Katie, do you have that one that we can pull up? When Goat is saying, look, the Bulls are about out of moves. It's going to be a Josh Giddey deal of some kind, and then that's going to be it. You see what Bobby Marks broke down earlier today. It's like there's your projected starting five without Josh Giddey. Trey Jones freshly signed in there alongside Coby White in the backcourt. And then your reserves in the backcourt and then front court. Projected salary against the tax threshold, against the apron. Obviously, the Bulls more than safe, per usual. Free agents still to be signed. THT, Giddey, and EJ Liddell. Extension eligible. You probably won't see any of those names get extended this summer. And then the exceptions available, the non-taxpayer full MLE still at their disposal, biannual, trade exceptions. But they have theoretically all those things to use, but they are just going, they are at a point now where it's like they've got 14. Giddey is it.
Giddey's it.
yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about ever since Arturas said that they wanted patience. This is I was anticipating it even being the same roster, including for Lonzo. The Okoro for Lonzo swap, to me, was more than I anticipated this offseason being. And so I think that's what it will continue to look like. I imagine they will offer the extension to Coby, and he's not going to sign it. Probably no news will come out about that. I don't think they'll offer the extension to Ayo at this point just because he's injured, and they can work that out in the middle of the season. And they don't want to take up too much of their future cap space, which is starting to decline with the Trey Jones deal. And you're rubbing off on me today, Dave. What's going on? The Trey Jones deal and the Okoro deal cutting into their cap space for 2026. Also, I need to do some research and reporting on this, but it sounds like the cap total next year will not go up by 10%, which is what it was anticipated
Projected
to be
increase by.
Projected to be. It sounds like it's going to go up by closer to 7%. And so that will also reduce not only the number in terms of cap space for the Bulls, but it will also mean that the annual raises that a guy gets, which is 8%, will actually be more than the cap rises, which is 7%. So that's something to take into consideration here when you're talking about deals and whether they ascend, stay flat, or descend. So still more to come in terms of the minutia and how all of that fits together. But in terms of the roster, I do think that this is pretty much what you're going to see, plus Josh Giddey signing. Again, there could be a Vooch trade. I do think that they'll be open to moving some of the other guys, Javon Carter, for example. But to me, this is kind of locked in as it is, and you're going to look at how that goes throughout the first part of the season, reassess at the deadline, and then next year when names come off the books, that's when I think you might just see a different looking roster.
And there was one move, Emmanuel Miller signing that two-way with the Chicago Bulls.
His signing has become official, still a two-way player for the Bulls. The other interesting thing about that Mark's graphic, when you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, Giddey's going to slide in likely next to Coby, and then Trey shifts to reserve guards. But like for all the talk about guard heavy, is like, look at all of the combo like shooting guard / small forwards and wings and power forward combos on that. Like, look at that. Look at all the development needed in a lot of those names, and then a lot of them others being returns from the Zach LaVine trade that are names on there. Yeah. So that's shifted a little bit with the Lonzo trade, and now perhaps still Ayo or Coby being traded this offseason.
Yeah, the more I think about that, the less likely I feel like it is. I mean, you've got Giddey, assuming he's back.
Because it's so set with the roster, you mean now?
Yeah, exactly. Giddey at the 1, Trey at the backup 1, Coby at the 2, Ayo at the backup 2. Who is it? Okoro at the 3, Herter at the backup 3. Modis and Patrick, Vooch and Collins, and then you've got the depth pieces, which are Javon Carter, Essengue, Dalen, Julian, and Jalen Smith. Mm-hmm. And to me, like, that's not so many guards that you can't figure it out and make it work. Like, I think that's probably about right. And again, that's why I think that this roster will continue to look as it does right now.
Well, that's going to do it for now for today. Still no Giddey deal. If and when we hear about a Josh Giddey deal, we will do our best wherever we are to hop on and do a show for y'all as soon as possible. Love those emergency pods. Already did one this past Saturday for the Lonzo Ball, Isaac Okoro trade. But otherwise, we will see y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central Time, per usual, to talk about more of what has happened between tonight and earlier in the day tomorrow.
And a guest.
And another guest. Mm-hmm. Talking Isaac Okoro?
Correct.
There you go. Big Dave lining them up, that Rolodex. Follow the GOAT, Will_Gottlieb, read his stuff, allchgo.com. Big Dave, bow, BWO Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. The queen of the controls is the one and only Katie Duffy. Have a great night. See you, be good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.